Good morning, welcome to today's RC coffee chat. With not a lot of coffee left and it's getting cold in here. I've got my coat on because I'm freezing me boobies off. Right, on to today's topics. We have... Oh, good morning, by the way. Apologies, almost missed that one out. And happy Sunday. And today, it's a flying day. Okay, I've got 6 topics on my list on the right hand side. Number 1, C1 Chaser Maiden Day. Brilliant. I will also be sharing with you the things which I've learnt so far. I've got a note about a build video. We'll get into that in a moment. Oh, I've got an update on the fake Sunny Sky motor. That's a curious one. No new Hobby King deals. That's a bit of a wet fish, isn't it? Slice of turkey, which we'll find out in a moment. And Thursday looks like a fantastic slope soaring day. I'm not too sure the lads who slope soar might think it's a fantastic slope soaring day, but I'm definitely up for it. And finally, today is a flying day. Happy days. Okay, so let's go back to number 1, Maiden Day. Right. So yesterday I did I built the C1 Chaser. Now I did record that, and I'm a little bit concerned because it's another hour plus long video or episode to put on to YouTube. I know in the back of my head that a video's length is as long as it needs to be, but I did struggle a little bit with the build. In fact, yeah, I'm thinking in my head that it's probably, it is a good idea to do it. And I had to do it in 2 different sections because I had to wait for one set of glue to finish setting and then come back and finish off the build. And then I didn't even get the entire build done it was probably about an hour and 20. It'll be in video length, about an hour and 20. The reason being is... that didn't include putting the motor or the electronics in or getting the servo horns in, so I didn't get as far as I wanted on video, if that makes sense, but I've done enough to her now that she's flight worthy. Now I'm going to share a couple of things which I don't like about the C1 Chaser, so I'm going to get some photos up on the screen. Now what I noticed is that on both wings, can you see this little dent in here on the front of the wingtip? I'm guessing that's where it was removed from the mould and bent in the mould, because both wings are suffering from the same issue. Is the joint up on this edge isn't good at all. And the other thing which I struggled with as well is that my right wing had up here, I really had to bend that back into shape, and I had to use pins to hold it into the right position. So yeah, that part of the wing definitely did get a knock, either being put in the box or in transit. And to be fair, we've all seen the state of the box, so it was most likely in transit. So that did take quite a bit of effort. And actually, maybe me thinking, hour plus build episodes quite a bit, even if I didn't get to putting the motor in and the electronics, well, with the speed controller and receiver and battery. But with that said, is that I did get over quite a few challenges, and the methodology which I used, I think you would find helpful. So yeah, I'll get that one edited up. What else have we got on there? So yeah, as I've now discovered, and everything now kind of makes sense. Remember those photos which I posted in a follow-up coffee chat about the C1 Chaser, and they had that whacking great big battery pack in there? Yeah, they've got a whacking great big battery pack in there for a very good reason. The C of G is really far forwards, and I mean really far forwards. Now this has got 2, in fact, let me just put a photo up on your screen so you can see, and I know that it will zoom in, so let me... and I don't want to get my head in the way, so no, it's as far as I can do it. So that's what I've got up on in mine. And let me zoom in a bit and move it to the left so you can see it. I don't know if you can see the amount of lead which I've been and got packed up in there. It's a lot, and I've had to put extra lead on the top of the 2.2 battery to get it to balance. Now, this swings one of two ways, depending on which camp you're in. If you're going to be flying the C1 Chaser line of sight, right now is that you would have to put a much smaller motor on it than what I've been used. So I'm using the Sunny Sky X22 1250 kV motor. And that is quite a big motor, to be fair. It's not massive, but it is still quite a lump of copper sat on the back. If you were going to be flying the C1 Chaser as a line of sight model, then you would definitely want to put a much smaller motor on the back of this model. And the reason why you would want to do that is that it means that you can start using a sensible battery on the front in the actual hole in the fuselage itself. So if this was purely to be used as a line of sight model, then you would run into challenges around getting the balance point right with a bigger motor on the back. So that's the line of sight camp, is that you would probably have to put a smaller motor in it. That's why they were running on the 2212, because it's quite a small motor. On the opposite side, and this is the camp which I fall into, and I'm sure many of you will do as well, is that I put a 5000 milliampere battery pack in there, and I'm just looking through my photos. Yeah, there's one there, and we'll see that it's now nose heavy with a 5000 3S pack in the front, but also note that I've had to bring the ESC forwards as well. Maybe if I brought the ESC back here somewhere, that might level it back out again. But she was a tad nose heavy with that size battery pack in it, and with a 4000 3S pack, one of the big multi-star ones. That's actually the the LI HV ones, the taller version. Is that it did also balance out quite well with that in there as well. Now, like I said, you're going to fall into one of two camps. On the left hand side, you would fall into the camp that if you're using it for line of sight, putting a battery like that is just nuts. So you would want to try and lighten the build down. So that basically means putting a smaller motor in there, so that you put like a 2.2 up front or something like that. On the opposite side, and this is where we were just a moment ago, is that for long range FPV, yeah, the amount of payload you have to put in the front of this model forces you pretty much to use a larger battery pack. So there is a negative here. Line of sight, I don't think this is going to be a great model, because you're going to be almost restricted on like the size of the motor which you can use, because you're going to have to stick a big battery in it. On the flip side, on this opposite side, which is the camp which I'm sat in, is that this is pretty cool, because this model is really very much demanding a larger battery pack. So even if I had some of these 18650 batteries, maybe I had a 4S, but either 2 lots of cells in there to make the 4S, or even 3 lots of cells in there to make the 4S, that would definitely help out balance the model out. Now, the reason for that is very simple. Let me just show you this photo. It's not glaringly obvious, because if I just do a quick comparison to that photo, look where the spar is, and the C of G is just in front of the spar, so it's just in front of the wingtips themselves. If we go back to the previous photo, look where the servos are. The servos are sat behind the C of G line. So, thinking out loud, if I now seeing this model and getting it to balance up, what I would have personally preferred is these servos to be mounted forwards a good 2, maybe 3 inches, quite close up to the leading edge of the wing. Yes, that would have been a longer control rod, but it would have brought the C of G forwards and given us more options to balance her out, if that makes sense. So yeah, bit of mixed feelings there on this one at the moment, and I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean for the guys which are going to fly at line of sight, you're going to have some challenges around the motor. On the opposite side of the camp for FPV, happy days. I genuinely mean that. Happy days. What I am going to do on mine is that I've come to the conclusion that there really isn't enough room in the nose to put the camera right down on the nose without digging into the foam too much, and that front lip, the lid digs into the nose, which is an excellent design feature, but it does mean that we're kind of restricted in what we can put in the nose. So we either need to put the camera right out on the point of the nose, or what I'm thinking for just straightforward ease is underneath those two holes there, which we can just about make out on that photo, is a plywood board. Now that's curious because, for example, if we've got the run cam, which comes with that lovely little metal bracket, I would be able to cut down and mount that camera in there. We use that metal bracket for the camera and then be able to tilt accordingly. Now that does open a question, okay Matt, what are you going to do, excuse me, with the HD recording? That's a good question. Personally, what I'm thinking is tuck the camera up underneath the wing so it doesn't, well, you'd get it as close to the fuselage as you sensibly could without having to rip it off when you land, but you could easily compensate for that when you sort out your electronics inside. The other thing which is bugging me a little bit at the moment is because the CFG line is about here, is that you are kind of somewhat limited in material in the wings themselves for good spatial separation of components, i.e. video transmitter out on one wing and the receiver out on the opposite wing, is that, yeah, even if you get it quite close to the front edge, is that you're still ironically going to be at or just behind the CFG line. So for long range FPV, we do have a few challenges there, but I will work those out later, and I'm sure you guys are going to give me some suggestions in the comments on what can be put in there. And I've just said you guys, and I really don't like saying that, so let me just rephrase that for you. And remember, I don't put any edits in these coffee chats at all, and so my apologies for that. So I'm sure you, or collectively, us as a community, are going to be able to work out a decent way of mapping out the components on the wings and keeping either on or as close to the CFG line as we can do. So that's going to be the challenge. Now, I haven't got to that challenge yet for me. My challenge right now, get it airborne so I can show you this model in the sky. Now, with that said, my setup, which I've gone with so far, is that I've got the Sunny Sky X2212 1250 kV motor. Now that is an 8x45 prop. I don't own an 8x6 prop, which is a bit, so it's going to be a bit lame. Yeah, lame is the best word for me to describe that in the sky. I've got a 40 amp ESC. I am trying to keep the wing loading down to a minimum. So instead of putting that big 5,000 pack in there and then chucking it, what I've elected to do is to go for a 2.2 battery and then add weight. And the reason why I've done that is that I can try and keep some of the weight down in the model, because if it does come down, remember it's a Maiden, okay, so we don't really know what's going to go on. So I've decided to try and keep the actual overall weight down, just in case something goes Pete Tong, and it will cause less mess and less stuff to repair. So that's my approach which I'm taking. I can then think about the rest of the electronics later on, but yeah, that's my approach right now. Get a 2.2 battery in here, but do note the amount of lead which I've had to pack up on the nose just to get to balance out. So yeah, that's been a bit of fun this morning, or last night should I say. So that's the C1 Chaser. Let me just check my notes on there. Things I don't like: both wings edges bent, the amount of weight to make a balance, which depends which side of the camp you fall on. Line of sight, that's going to be a challenge. FPV, we all want bigger batteries for longer flight times, don't we? For it. And I've noted the note about the servers being behind the CFG point. Yeah, it's gonna make a bit of a challenge trying to spread the components out. I will get to that one later when I get to that challenge myself. And yeah, smaller motor for line of sight. Next topic which we've got, the fake Sunny Sky motor. Now that seller, which we saw yesterday, has been updated a message in there. They've been and come back to me and offered me £12 refund. I'm frankly not sure what to do about this. By the looks of it, the motor did come out of the Sunny Sky factory. The coil windings do look good, but it was a fake. And if we take a look at the listing, we'll see that they have been and removed Sunny Sky from the title. They've tweaked their images. Literally, they've tweaked all of their images to try and mask the Sunny Sky labeling on the actual can itself, and they've been and changed their description and their images as well. If I go back to the item which I actually purchased, you'll see that it's been clearly labelled as Sunny Sky X2212, and then even in the description as well. It's one of the nice things about eBay. They do keep copies of your actual transactions for about 40 days or so. So I don't know what to do about that. Do you feel that a 12 quid refund is fair? Was it a genuine mistake by the seller? The seller has gone on and changed the eBay listing. I'm sure those motors will be fine. I've got one sat here next to me. I don't know. What would you do? Remember, it looks like a motor. It smells like a motor. And I'll probably burn it up like a motor. What do you think? I feel, personally what I'm thinking, I could go and drag this out with PayPal. I could go and give that seller a load of grief. But it is a motor. They've basically given me a motor free. I don't know. What do you feel is fair? Let me know in the comments section underneath this video. Right, a couple more topics for us to go cover, and then I need to go because I need another half an hour to edit this, and it is 23 minutes past 5 in the morning, and today is a flying day. So we'll get to that in a moment. So that's the fake motor, Sunny Sky motor, which I bought off eBay. The seller has been pretty good in updating it, so big hat tip actually to Warm Wine. They have been pretty good. No new Hobby King Cyber November deals. Fingers crossed we get some Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals, because it ain't looking good so far. Last topic. Oh yeah, Thursday looks like a fantastic slope soaring day. So this is today. We're recording this on Sunday, and we've got very little wind and sunshine and clouds. Perfectly flyable, and it's not completely freezing like it has been for a while. But Thursday looks special because of that wind direction. Look at that, 17 miles per hour. So that means the slope could be fun. Slight challenge though. Snow! Look at that! Or it could be sleet. I'm up for sloping in that weather. It could be really good fun. Nice wind speed. Don't like the rainy bit in the afternoon, but I'd slope store in some sleet. That would be amazing fun. Frankly, I would prefer snow, but in Bristol, we're quite sheltered, so you've got to take the nearest white stuff you can get. Falling from the sky, anyway. So, yeah. Would you slope store in sleet? I don't know. Let me know in the comments section. Anyway, what have we got last on there? Oh, yeah, the last one thing which I noticed was on Banggood. I'll put a link to this page in here. Oh, my God, that's stone cold now. Right. They've got this Thanksgiving turkey thing, which is that if you put in your order numbers in this box down here on the left-hand side for orders which were over $24, so I don't know, about 20 quid in pounds sterling, is that they will give you some tokens. Now, I put mine in, and I am won anything really exciting. But that said, I'll show you the coupons which I put in. Oh, a big tip for you. You probably won't see this because my face is in the way on this. In fact, let me just scroll up so you can see. There's a Facebook button. You get an extra chance if you share it on Facebook. But when you press the Facebook share button, in the pop-up window, if you don't really want to share it on FaceBalls, is click the button, and then we've got like this privacy setting, and you can click on that and then choose only me, and then share it, and then you get your extra chance of putting another order number in there over $24, and you might get another voucher or win some prize or something like that. So that's a nice way of sharing it on Facebook, but not actually sharing it on Facebook. And of course, you can then go back and then go and delete that post from your timeline. So I thought I'd share that little tip with you. I've been and put 3 order numbers in there, and you'll see that you've got 3 pieces of roast turkey, and it's kind of a cool little graphic they put on there. I thought that was quite curious of what they did on that. Now, the coupons which I got, now I have written remove next to them, okay, but they were real coupons. And what I've been and got is a 24% discount for $200 or more, an 11% discount on $100 or more, or 5% on 50. Now, to be frankly honest, this bottom one really doesn't interest me, but that middle one, 11%, well, that's $10 off, or 10 quid off a £100 order. That's not bad. I thought that was fair. Or, that's not bad at all. Or, 24% off a $200 order. Now, that does cause a challenge with customs if you're going to buy all the items, so let's say from China, for example. But maybe if you mixed up the warehouses and got maybe the more expensive item from like the US warehouse or the EU warehouse, you won't get hit on that one. Although you pay a little bit more, I'm pretty sure you would lose whatever you're paying more for it for being in the EU or the US warehouse by the 24% discount. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, happy days. Now the last topic for today is today's flying day. Happy days. What am I going to be flying today? I've got the C1 Chaser, which you know about. I've got the Hornet FPV wing. I do need to hook up. I am actually going to probably take the BFG with me this morning. So it's the BFG 1600 glider. Now, it's not particularly the fastest model in the world. It's not the most aerobatic model in the world. In fact, it takes like 40 foot to do a roll in it. But with that said, it's very quiet, and since we're going to be starting at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, that's not a bad idea. Now, my little cunning plan is to go and stick a little FPV transmitter on top and an FPV camera, and then go and FPV it around. Happy days. That BFG stays in the air for absolutely ages, even on a 1.5 3S battery. And I'm not going to be caning it, because that model doesn't go particularly fast. But great way of getting some extra FPV time in. Happy days. Oh, and talking of FPV, I'll also be taking the Phantom FX61 with me this morning for a nice little jaunt around. See if we can, well, just go in there, see if there's any low-flying clouds. What else have we got? Yeah, so that's my plan for today. Oh, I also might take a little quad with me as well. I'll probably take Hammy, or I did take out, I've got my 250 quad, and I might take that one with me as well. Kind of depends on weight in the bags, because we do have a bit of a stomp to get to the flight line. So one of those quads might get left behind. So with that said, for myself, Matt, who's not going to drink that coffee because it's absolutely stone cold now and in a very office, if you're out flying today, happy days. And if you're not out flying today, sorry. And the good news for you is that we will find out what that C1 Chaser is like in the sky. Should be good fun. So with that said, for myself, Matt, thank you ever so much for joining me for today's RC Coffee Chat. And I shall see you again tomorrow morning. So on that note, from myself, Matt, cheerios.